name is Joy Harrington. I am your host. Today we're talking about lack of motivation and also alignment because these two go together. So I recently did a reel on Instagram talking all about lack of motivation and how it actually is a symptom of an unhealed nervous system. It's a symptom of stored trauma or emotions in your body. What most people don't understand is that they are operating and creating a business or a life from these old stories, old beliefs that are buried deep down inside that we're not even aware of. And they are stored in our nervous system. So when we have trauma and emotions that are stored in our nervous system, it's going to keep us showing up from a state of wounding. It's going to keep us showing up from this state of trying to prove stories not true about us, also trying to live up to certain things, show that we are enough. It's basically going to disconnect us from our authenticity and our authentic voice and what we actually desire, because what's most important to us is to feel that we're enough. What's most important to us is to feel that we are accepted. What's most important to us is to feel that we're seen, that we're important, right? All of these core needs and these things that we didn't get, or that we thought we had to be to get, or we thought we had to do to get a long, long time ago when we were a kid, right? We started forming these, we started taking them on in our subconscious. Things happened to us and it froze in our nervous system. It froze in our body. And so I don't want to say it's almost impossible to be in alignment without having cleared that, but it kind of is, because you can do all the head knowledge, you can do all the mental processing, you can do all the talk therapy, you can be even aware of your stories, but until you've actually cleared that out of your system, you haven't given your system a reset. So your system is living from a state of being that is all these wounds, right? All these emotional traumas or woundings or things that are literally driving our ship. And so it's not going to allow you to even know who you truly are, know what you actually want, know what's a yes for you, know what's a no for you, and actually live from that standpoint. Because here's the thing. When you clear it out of your nervous system, when you actually process it from your body, you change your state of being. So now you get to live from a state of being that already knows you're enough, that already knows you're seen, that already knows you're loved, that already knows you have nothing to prove, that already knows there's nothing more that you could do to be more important or more seen or more valued, right? And if you truly lived from that place, truly, 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 not a head knowledge place, but you actually in your body feel that way. And when you know that you're actually living that way, you will feel calm, you'll feel peaceful. You won't feel the need to have or the need to be jumping on what everyone else is doing, or like you're getting left behind, or like you're not doing enough, or anything like that, right? Your state of being will feel totally different. You will get to make decisions from a place of, oh, does that actually line up for me, right? Is that actually where I want to go? Oh, is that reflective of what I desire? Is that actually line up with my values, right? Like, where am I going and what am I creating? You live from a more proactive place, not reactive place. And you have a firm structured vision. You have a firm knowledge and understanding of who you are. You have a firm knowledge and understanding of what you desire. You know what your non-negotiables are, right? And it's not based on who you feel you need to be. It's not based on old wounds, right? And showing up and proving that we're enough, or we're not this or that. It's, I know who I am. I'm connected back to that. I know who God made me to be. I know why I'm here on this earth. And so I'm going to choose to align myself with things that fit me rather than me trying to fit these things. So that's a really big sign to you that you're not aligned, is you're trying to mold yourself to fit these things rather than these things fit with you and the authentic you and who God made you to be and what you are here to do. So when we try to be changing ourselves and molding ourselves and like being a certain way so that we can fit with these things, they're probably not aligned for you. So the first step to creating alignment is to clear what's in the way. We've got to clear it out of our nervous system. We've got to give our nervous system a reset. We've got to heal these wounds. We've got to become aware of our stories. We've got to become aware of the emotions that are trapped in our body. We've got to become aware of the patterns that are playing in. And so much of this is not conscious to us. We're not even aware of things. And in fact, I was doing some work this morning and I was realizing stories at play for me that I hadn't discovered yet. And I've been doing this work for years, right? So we're always going to be finding new layers and new things that are in the way. And so we're going to be clearing what's out of the way so that we can actually attach back to that authentic voice that God put inside of us, that authentic truth that God put inside of us. It's there. There's just typically stuff in the way. And then number two, to getting an alignment would be whenever things are presented to you, it's asking from a state of awareness, what's driving you to actually be drawn to that and why really, or what would actually be in the way for you. If you're not feeling drawn to it, is it because of one of your old stories or your old fears or resistance you feel in your body? And if so, where's that resistance coming from? What's underneath it? What is there for you to learn from? So much of us, we feel this resistance in our body. For me, it kind of comes up as like no, like I'm not doing that. Don't make me do that. Like it's almost like this childish, like, ew, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me, like I'm the kid kind of throwing a fit, right? Like that's how it feels to me when resistance comes up in my body. And when I take the time to say, ooh, what's going on? Where is this resistance coming from? What's the story driving this resistance? I typically uncover an old story that's causing me to feel that resistance. And it doesn't mean that that thing isn't right for me. It just means I have an old story that I'm projecting onto that opportunity. And I'm saying, oh, see, that opportunity is going to feed this old story that I have. But that is my story that I took on, and I get to change that. And it's a perspective shift, but it's also a story shift. And when I shift that story and I say, if that wasn't true, then what would I think about this opportunity, right? If that actually wasn't true, if I saw the story for what it was, and I knew that that was my own projection, right? But that doesn't make it true. And that I could do this differently and that I could take on a different story, then what would I think about this opportunity, right? So it takes some digging. It takes some awareness when we see opportunities, when we have things come our way, when we're wondering about what we want to do with our life, to ask, what am I feeling in my body and why? Where does that come from? What's the story? How could I shift that? If there was a new story, how would it affect it, right? And number three, I just like to ask my clients to think about, if you couldn't mess it up, right? If nothing was going to go wrong and you knew it would work out even better than you could imagine, what would you want? And what would you want to do? If you didn't have to worry about time or money, right? What would you do? If you had nothing left to prove, I also, if there's a specific opportunity coming up, ask myself, if you knew that it would work out, right? If you knew that it would work out and you weren't afraid, and you also knew that you were enough, and you knew that you didn't have to do this perfectly, would this be a yes for you? Because also, so much of the time for me personally, when I'm considering something, again, usually unconsciously, I'm feeling a pressure of like, if I'm going to say yes to that, then that means I have to go all the way and I have to freaking crush it. And I have to be the best and I have to go balls to the wall, right? And I have to burn myself out. And so I have to stop myself and say, no, if you didn't have to do it that way, if you could let yourself do this in a way that served you, would this be a yes for you? Which leads me to my next question for you guys. And that is, if you could do it in a way that you wanted to do it, how would you do it? And would this be a yes for you? Because misalignment comes from either the thing is not right for us and we're saying yes to it because of these wounds that I talked about before, of stories playing into it, of I need to do this because I need to prove I'm enough, or I need to prove I'm not that, or whatever it is. But it can also, misalignment can come from, we say yes to it and then we think it has to be done a certain way. We don't give ourselves permission to do it our way or in a way that serves us. We look at everybody else and how they're doing it, and we say, oh, since they're doing it that way, I have to do it this way. In fact, I have a client that I'm helping her right now. And she was like, well, I haven't seen anybody do what I want to do. And it's really hard for me. And I looked back at her and I said, on the contrary, this is beautiful for you because now you don't have anyone to look at that's going to limit you and how you approach this. Because when we have that, when we have a person who's done it before us, we naturally look at them and we say, oh, look, there's my box. There's my limits. They did it, but they only did this and they only did that. And they did it this way. And here's their little rules and here's their little box and here's their little structure. So I'm going to mimic that. We're like kids in the classroom. We're looking at everybody else's painting and going, oh, I need to paint it just the same way. But when you don't have that, you have absolute freedom to do anything and everything and do it in a way that works for you. And you get to create from the most authentic, original place because you don't have anybody else clouding you. So that's a beautiful thing. So it's asking yourself, how would I want to do this in a way that serves me? How am I not doing this in a way that serves me? How am I, why am I feeling resistance because I'm assuming that I have to do it how everybody else is doing it? If I knew I didn't have to do it according to all the rules, how would I do it? Right? Giving yourself permission. And I catch myself all the time. I just caught myself a couple of weeks ago when I was getting ready to come back to coaching, thinking about how I've seen other coaches bring on one-on-one clients and their structures for it and kind of their like guidelines for offers and things like that. And I realized, you know what? That doesn't feel good to me. And I've always forced myself to do it that way. And I'm not going to this time. I'm going to give myself permission to do it in a way that feels good to me. And lo and behold, it felt good to me. The conversations went better. Clients liked it better. Right. And I know when I'm in alignment because it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, I don't feel resistance. I don't feel like, ugh, I don't like this part. Right. And I know that I'm also not feeling like I have to have it, or I have to have it work out, or it has to produce X, Y, and Z, right? I'm detached from the outcome because it doesn't reflect my worth or my value. It doesn't reflect a story, right? It doesn't make me, it doesn't diminish one of my stories. So that's some tips for helping you get back into alignment today. It's just going to take some awareness and digging on your part and saying, what am I feeling resistance to in my life right now? And why? Is it because I'm restricting myself to doing it the way everybody else is doing it? Is it because I'm doing this for wounds that I want to make feel better or to prove something about myself? Am I doing it, but I don't really want to? But I believe I have to, like just getting curious about that and discovering like what's in your body, what's your body telling you because it's your friend and it's telling you things. And then also deciding if you knew that you were enough, you had nothing left to prove, your baseline was different, you were living from a different place, then what would you say yes to? What would be a yes for you? What would be a no for you? That will help you start to get clear on that. And getting into alignment is not a one-time thing. It's a constant revisiting every single day. Again, look at your business and what is no longer in alignment today that was yesterday, right? Because we're changing every single day and we have to give ourselves permission to keep letting our business, our relationships, our friendships, our goals change with us. So sometimes being out of alignment isn't a reflection that it's a no for you or that that thing is wrong for you. It's just a reflection that you haven't updated it, right? We have old goals that we set a year ago, but they don't fit who we are now and where we're going right now. Our season has changed, or we have a business model that worked a year ago for the person that we were a year ago, but we're a different person now and we want to do things differently now. So how are we updating it to keep fitting us? It's about updating as you go. So go answer those questions, journal it out, and then chat with me on Instagram. I would love to hear what came up for you and how you're getting back into alignment or what your aha was. It's joyharrington.ig. Would love to meet you, and send this to a friend that you know would love some clarity and helping get into alignment. Maybe they're burnt out. Maybe they're not motivated. Maybe they're wondering what's wrong with them. It's usually just an alignment problem. So send it to a friend and help them get back in alignment with you. I'll see you guys back on the show.